عظيمة مباركة يسن فيها الإكثار من الصلاة على سيدي ومولاي رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه من كل عمل صالح. The night of Jumu'ah, the blessed night, it's a beautiful night. The sunnah is to increase your salah upon the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام and all good deeds you can think of. صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. Hadith tonight يروي الإمام البخاري والإمام مسلم كلهم في صحيحه عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنه قال. The hadith tonight in the collection both Bukhari and Muslim is narrated to us by Ibn Umar. And this hadith is narrated to us at least in four different ways. And on the post, you'll find that at least three narrations, just because they're distinct enough that I think it's worth sharing. I'm going to basically narrate a little bit of a mix of them, just so the story actually comes across clearly. But each of these narrations, they're all obviously in the Sahihain, so they're all authentic. Each narration took an aspect that the other one did not take. That I think when you put them together, the story becomes a little bit more fulfilled and completed. يقول ابن عمر لما مات عبد الله ابن أبي ابن سلول أتى ابنه عبد الله إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. When Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, the known munafaq, and this is within the theme of hypocrisy that I'm going to talk about over the next maybe 2 weeks. His son Abdullah ibn Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, his son, who's also named Abdullah, just to confuse you, but no, Abdullah is very known. Abdullah ibn Abdullah was a very known Sahabi, and he was very respected and revered, and he was close to the Prophet ﷺ. When his father died, after everything he had done, and Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul did a lot of things, like he conspired against the Prophet ﷺ at least 4 times to kill him, aside from trying to undermine him every example he had, every chance he had. He tried to get him killed. Like he conspired with Banu Qurayza and Abu Sufyan. He left Uhud right before it started and took 300 people. Like he tried actively to destroy the Muslim. It wasn't just something he was doing under the rug. He actually tried. He tried. But he said, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and he claimed to be Muslim. So that's it. They couldn't, حقنا منه دمه وماله. So he had protected his wealth and his life because he had claimed to be Muslim. But everyone knew. He's the person who accused Isha radiallahu anha of the fahisha, the worst thing you can do. He harmed the Prophet ﷺ multiple times, and when he died, the Muslims were happy. They were just happy his harm would go away with him. His son Abdullah, who knew that his father was like that, to the point where on the way back from one of the battles, they had fought. There was this fight between the Ansar and the Muhajirin, and some people said some things to each other. So Abdullah ibn Ubay became extremely racist, and he said, ما مثلنا ومثل هؤلاء إلا كمثل قول القائل سم كلبك يأكلك. He said the example of us and the Muhajirin is like the example you feed your dog and he'll eat you. وإذا عدنا إلى المدينة ليخرجن الأعز منها الأذل. When we go back to Medina, the one of high integrity and the high status will remove the one of lower status. And he's speaking of himself and the Prophet ﷺ. So his son said, you don't enter Medina. You're not allowed to enter Medina. His own son. Like, you're not entering until you apologize for what you said about the Prophet ﷺ. If your head has to fly, I'm the one who's going to do it. I'm not going to let anyone else do it. I can't walk around with someone who killed my father alive. I can't do it, so I have to do it. If you deserve to be killed for what you just said. And the Prophet ﷺ, no, let him in. Whatever, he can say what he wants. So Abdullah was not, again, I'm just trying to explain, he knew. But when his father died, in death a lot goes away. Like when death occurs, a lot of the built up anger and the animosity and the hatred and the small trivial problems and the little khilafat, they all just kind of fade away. And it's when you really realize how stupid they were and how kind of completely irrelevant they were and how you shouldn't have spent that time in this problem. So when his father died, he couldn't help it. It's his father. So he came to the Prophet. قال فأتى ابنه عبد الله فقال يا رسول الله قميصك يكفن فيه. Give me something of yours for him to be buried in. فقام النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فخلع قميصه. He took off his قميص. فقال يا رسول الله تصلي عليه. Would you come and perform salah عليه? فقام إليه النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. So the Prophet got up and worked. فقال عمر يا رسول الله تصلي عليه وفعل يوم كذا كذا وقال يوم كذا كذا وقال عنك في ساعة كذا كذا. So Umar stands up, he said, and I start telling him, what are you doing? This is Abdullah ibn Ubay. You forget what he did that day, what he said this day, and how he talked about you that day, and what he did this day. فقال أخر عني يا عمر. Leave me alone, Umar. قال فأكثرت عليه. And I kept on going. No, Ya Rasulullah, you can't do this. This man has made it clear, you can't go do this. فقال يا عمر, this is what the Prophet ﷺ said, عليه الصلاة والسلام. فقال يا عمر إني خيرت بين أمرين. I was given استغفر لهم أو لا تستغفر لهم. You make istighfar for them or you don't. I was given a choice. وإني اخترت ولو أعلم أنه يغفر له فوق السبعين لزدت. And if I knew that he would be forgiven if I did it 71 times, because the ayah says استغفر لهم أو لا تستغفر لهم. Make istighfar for them or don't. إن تستغفر لهم 70 مرة فلن يغفر الله لهم. If you make istighfar for him 70 times. And 7 in the Arabic language, it means repetitiveness. It's an infinite number. Why? Because, for example, there are 7 days of the week. When they're done, it's not day number 8. You just repeat again. So it keeps on going. So that repetition. So 7 means repetition in the Arabic language. That's why everything is 7. Regardless, that's the understanding. That's why the Quran uses it. Just like if I knew 71 times would fix it, I would have said it. قال فذهب إليه النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام فأخرجه من قبره. So the Prophet ﷺ goes and he takes Abdullah ibn Ubay out of his grave. ثم لفه بقميصه. And then he covered him with his قميص. صلى الله عليه وسلم. You don't, he can't, no, I can't. Impossible. How do you do this? How could, no, ya Shaykh, it's too much. You can only understand, you can only accept this story if you don't know him, alayhi salatu wasalam, you don't know Abdullah ibn Ubay. This story is fine for you. But if you understand what this man did, if you understand how many times he belittled the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, how he went after his ird, his integrity, how he went after his life, how he went after the life of the Sahaba with him, how he tried to get them killed time and time again, how he told the Prophet ﷺ, take your donkey and get out of here, you stink. To his face, ﷺ, time and time again. But out of respect to his son, sometimes that matters. And for the fact that he's a Muslim. He's a Muslim. Maybe he was filled with nifaq, but he's a Muslim. Maybe. Akram min Allah. You are more generous than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at him differently. So he goes, he lets it all go. I don't know how he let it all go. That's my problem. I don't understand how people, when they oppress you once or twice, you don't forget it. But if they spend their lives trying to harm you every time they have the chance, just keep on trying to do it. It's not like there's some poor person who no one knows. This is the leader of his tribe. He had command over hundreds of people, and they listened to him. He was respected. He had weight. Kept on harming him. And then he dies. The Prophet ﷺ removes him from his grave. He wraps him up with his own qamis. He puts him back in, ثم صلى عليه صلى الله عليه وسلم. And then he performed the salat al-janazah upon him. He performed the salat al-janazah upon Abdullah ibn Ubay bin Salul. ثم يقول عمر فقلت له يا رسول الله تصلي عليه وقد فعل. You're going to also pray, and he said this and did that and did that. The Prophet ﷺ doesn't even listen. Get out of the way, and he prays for him. ثم نزل قوله تعالى ولا تصلي على أحد منهم مات أبدا ولا تقم على قبره إنهم كفروا بالله ورسوله وماتوا وهم فاسقون. Right after that happened, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Jibreel and said, don't ever pray upon them again. Well, what, Jibreel was too busy? He couldn't come like a few minutes earlier to, no. This was purposeful, so that you and I would have this story to tell. That if it was left up to his heart, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to the sobbing heart of love, then he would have prayed janazah for every munafiq. He would do it for each and every one of them. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will find forgiveness for them. Because he wasn't judgmental, alayhi salatu wasalam. He didn't judge people as munafiqeen when they were alive. Forget about judging them when they're dead. He would never label someone like that. He didn't go around telling people, Fulan munafiq. No, he told one person, and the reason was that when he died, he wanted to make sure that the khilafah wouldn't fall, because untrustworthy people would take command or authority. It wasn't even for his personal use. He didn't need it. He didn't care for it. And he made dua for them. He made istighfar for them. And when he died, when Abdullah ibn Salul died, he could have at least exposed him. He didn't. He went and he gave him his shirt, ya Shaykh. Understand what that means? Like a piece of him. Something he wore, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He gave it to him and he performed salat al-janazah. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive him. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I don't understand that. I honestly don't. I can't. I can't imagine it. I can't comprehend it. It's beyond my ability. But that's who your Prophet is, alayhi salatu wasalam. That is the level of mercy, compassion, and love he carried. And that's how he viewed the world. And he had no problem. يقول عمر فتعجبت من جرأتي على رسول الله عليه الصلاة والسلام. I always look back and I wonder, how was I so upfront with him, alayhi salatu, about this? I kept on pushing him. No, you can't do this. This is wrong. It's like the Quran came and said it, but why was I so pushy about this? And the Prophet didn't listen. He did it anyway, alayhi salatu wasalam. Yes, the verses explained what should happen later on, but this story stays for us. Talk about forgiveness. You talk about letting things go. talking about not judging people. Whatever you think is amazing, just go back to this story with the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, Abdullah bin Ubay. Just go back to that. When he died, he acted as if nothing had happened. No, he acted like the last 10 years, last decade of continuous conspiracy did not occur. Just forgot all about it in 1 second and went and gave him everything he could to maybe give him a chance on the day of judgment. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Please don't use the concept of nifaq to label people. Please don't use it as a catalog to tell fulan, to say this is munafiq and he is munafiq and she is munafiq and that. Don't say these things. You have no idea what you're doing. You don't understand what this is for if you're doing that. This is for self-regulation. This is so that you and I fear for ourselves, so that we don't fall into that trap. That's why this whole concept is taught, so that we can think, am I like that? Am I doing this? I go back and I wonder again and I fix myself. I don't look at fulan and illan and I say, well, look, إذا حدث كذب إذا خاصم فجر عيب. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام knew he was the head of munafiqeen when he died, when he prayed for him عليه الصلاة والسلام. يروي الإمام البخاري والإمام مسلم كلهم في صحيحه عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنه قال لما توفي عبد الله بن أبي بن سلول أتى ابنه عبد الله بن عبد الله فقال يا رسول الله قميصك يكفن فيه فقال نعم فخلع له قميصه فقال يا رسول الله تصلي عليه فقال نعم أصلي عليه فقال عمر يا رسول الله تصلي عليه وقد قال كذا يوم كذا وفعل كذا ساعة كذا وقال عنك كذا موطن كذا فقال أخر عني يا عمر قال فلما أكثرت عليه قال يا عمر إني خيرت فاخترت ولو أعلم أني لو زدت فوق 70 غفر له لزدت قال ثم ذهب صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم فأخرجه من قبره ثم كفنه في قميصه ثم صلى عليه صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم فلما فرغ وانصرف نزل قوله تعالى بعد أن مكث يسيرا ولا تصلي على أحد منهم مات أبدا ولا تقم على قبره يقول عمر فتعجبت يومها من جرأتي على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا وحبيبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين جزاكم الله خيرا بارك الله فيكم إن شاء الله tomorrow Jumu'ah is 1:15 we'll see you there بإذن الله تعالى take care السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته